All right, Thursday edition of Whether or Not. Oh my God, it's raining.
What happened?
It's raining.
This morning. We talked about, obviously, the chance. I think you all bumped it up yesterday afternoon, 40%. This morning, I said maybe 60, and the next thing you know, and just...
And the thunder and the lightning, Mother Nature's like, yeah, I got a little sense of humor.
And as quick as it came,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yes.
And that's a really critical, I guess, moment in story for the storytelling today, because the drought monitor came out and you would think, well, it's done, right?
Yeah.
Not quite. Let's begin with your first alert here. And Drought Thursday comes up here, the latest update. And you look at this and you're saying, wait a second, it rained. What are we talking about?
Yeah. We're going to need a lot more. This is a really ugly drought update. It's kind of what we expected because it was so dry through late last week, through the weekend, especially the eastern half of South Carolina. We kind of figured there would be a rapid expansion of the extreme drought. We saw that, and also notice now the really darkest color on the map, exceptional drought. That's the worst category. Yeah. And it's kind of starting to expand and creep up.
I saw a meteorologist on social media explain this in Georgia, and I think this is a really good analogy. You're down 50 at halftime in a sports game. You get on a 10-point run, you're still down 40. Yeah. And that's kind of where we sit now. We got a little bit of rain, but we need a lot more. And now you'll notice that extreme drought expanded, like you said yesterday here, Georgetown County, almost all of Horry County, but more importantly, all of the Grand Strand. Yeah,
just bone dry. We missed out on a couple of those little rain chances over the weekend and earlier this week. Yes, getting some rain out there today, but it's just not going to be enough. Talk about that rapid expansion of the extreme drought. Last week, 39% of the state was under extreme drought. Look at that now, 79%, 80% of the state under extreme drought. This is quickly becoming one of the worst droughts here across South Carolina that we have seen in quite some time.
Yeah, you look back to thinking about when's the last time we picked up on an inch of rain. We told you yesterday, October.
Yeah.
And typically it's not hard to get an inch of rain here occasionally. Once a month. We haven't gotten that. So hopefully as we look ahead, we'll be able to see some improvement. We need it desperately, but I want to reiterate that even if we get a soaking rain Saturday, we will still be in a drought come next week.
I think if anything, the rain that we got today, the rain that we get Saturday pauses the drought for maybe a week or two. It may not get worse, but it's not going to get better. We are going to need consistent rainy patterns, but we are very optimistic and growing more confident on that Saturday soaker that's coming up, potentially, as you mentioned, the most rain we've seen around here in a couple of months. And it's also a different animal than what we've been dealing with so far, although today kind of bucked the trend. The past couple of systems coming in have had the upper level energy really weakening, had very limited moisture with it. That changes, though, with this weekend system.
Yeah, a little piece of upper level energy today. It was very quick, but this weekend, strong low pressure gets going in Texas. That's going to start to bring in much more moisture from the Gulf, and with it, it's going to feel like a more traditional rain system, not spotty, but feel more consistent. So here's your setup as we go into Saturday.
Yeah, the Gulf going to be wide open this go around, and the Gulf is so important for systems to ingest a lot of moisture. And the fact that it's going to be wide open this go around really boosts our confidence on a good soaking rain around here heading into the weekend. And yeah, you got to love this kind of agreement in our models.
1 inch I'd be happy with. Right. 1.5, some isolated spots of 2. These models haven't been flip-flopping, but more so the euro nudging up a little bit and maybe taking down a little bit, and that's expected. I am interested, too early now, but maybe this time tomorrow.
Yeah.
What does that high resolution data look like? And if we can start to get those in the 1 inch territory, yeah, it's all systems go. Hopefully.
Yeah, right now we're just sort of in the noise phase, kind of little details, but yeah, a lot of that high resolution data going to be coming in as early as this evening. So that's going to really help us kind of nail that down. But yeah, you were talking about how long it's been since we've seen a good rain around here. The last measurable rain, well, we can now make that today.
This morning.
Yeah, this morning. So at least we got that. We didn't get a half an inch. Have to go all the way back to March 8th since the Grand Strand has seen more than a half an inch of rain in one day. And there's that crazy October stat, October 12th, the last time we saw more. than an inch of rain.
Yeah, certainly needed so bad. And obviously what that means is as we head into your weekend, we're kind of a split bag here. Saturday going to be a very gloomy, cool, wet day with soaking rain possible. How much rain, exact timing, exact amounts. We'll get more of that as we go with the next 24 to 36 hours. And then Sunday, cool and sunny. It feels more like a fall or early spring weekend.
Yeah, this would be more of a late October, early November kind of an event.
Like, do I make chili?
Yeah, and we still haven't got those temperatures down far enough on Saturday.
No.
I think we're going to nudge down even a little bit.
There were some
more.
Models this morning that were upper 50s.
Yeah,
so.
and I've seen that around here. I've seen Memorial Days even with 50s and 60s and rain around here. So it is definitely going to be quite a shock.
Yeah, certainly. Well, the question that everyone's been asking is, okay, look, we need rain. Well, meteorologist Matt Bullock is going to answer exactly how this all got started. Why have we been so dry? He's answering it in today's Matt's Got Stats.
This week, we're going to talk about why this year has been so doggone dry. And for Myrtle Beach and Lumberton, it's been the driest start on record to the year. For Florence, this is the fourth driest start to the year on record, with 99% of the state dealing with severe drought conditions or worse. 40% of the state of South Carolina dealing with extreme drought conditions. So the reason why we've been so dry the past couple of months, we've had a dry spell that ended the year of 2025, and then a La Nina weather pattern set up for the winter season, bringing warmer and drier conditions. In the past couple of weeks, we've had this persistent heat dome of high pressure that's just been blocking these rain systems from entering the Carolinas. So let's talk about La Nina winter impacts. So during a La Nina weather pattern, that jet stream doesn't dip farther south like it usually does. And all that wetter energy, all that moisture gets stuck in the Midwest and even into the Northeast, leaving the Southeast and the Deep South warmer and drier. In the past few weeks, we've had this dome of heat from this high pressure system that's just been blocking moisture, leaving us high and dry. That high pressure system will begin to weaken and slide towards the southeast. When that happens, we're going to start to get moisture coming out from the southeast, getting that moisture from the Gulf. This will bring back rain chances across the Carolinas starting at the end of April and even into early May. Look at our precipitation outlook for the first 2 weeks of May. Likely to see above normal rain chances across the Carolinas. And it's going to take a lot of rain for us to get out of the drought. We would need almost 9 inches in just 1 month for us to get out of the drought, nearly a foot of rainfall in the next 2 months, and 16 inches of rain in the next 3 months for us to get out of the drought. We're going to need a lot of it. And when those rain systems do come, be sure to download the WBF First Alert Weather app. Matt Bullock, WBF News.
9 inches of rain. Good explanation on what we were talking about today, and I think that's going to be the big story. Even with Saturday, we get an inch, still 7 inches to completely end it in 1 month. It's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, what will be great is we need like a Saturday system coming at us about every 4, 5, 6 days. That's how you get out of a drought.
Next week doesn't look too promising either.
All right, let's take you coast to coast because things are still pretty active, although taking a little bit of a break from what has been a pretty impressive stretch of severe weather. We'll start you off here tomorrow across the southeast, and another little batch of rain slipping its way across the Gulf Coast states. That's actually sort of the breeding ground for our system that's going to arrive on Saturday. In fact, notice as we head into sunset on Friday, we've got some rain south of us and offshore, but really going to be focusing on what's happening back across Texas and Louisiana. That is our Saturday soaker just beginning to get started.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that rain for the most part should hold off to the south. We'll keep that in mind. We'll take any rain we can get, but 71 at Myrtle Beach, 75 at Savannah, kind of put between the two. That front stalled out. Warm air down across Florida, 90s in Orlando. Meanwhile, low 70s and even 60s up across Tennessee. Let's go ahead and take you off to the northeast where they've been dealing with rain off and on this week. They'll get another system to roll through here. Most of that's going to be impacting New York, and as you go into Pennsylvania as we go into the afternoon, that is going to be another low pressure that's swinging through the area, bringing more clouds, bringing more rain, and yes, bringing more cooler weather.
Yeah, look at those 50s. Pretty chilly here as we kick off May. Across upstate New York, western PA, northern Ohio, only into the 40s to near 50 in a lot of spots. 50s to low to mid 60s as you work your way closer to the beaches. One spot that's finally staying a bit quieter here across the middle part of the country, where we've had round after round after round of severe storms. Nothing more than a couple of little pop-up showers, but also it's a bit on the chilly side there.
Yeah, chilly indeed. Temperatures 50s, mid 50s. As you go up closer to Minneapolis, you'll look at even some 60s mixed in. And I'll tell you what, where the weather's actually happening for once is when you go down to the southwest. They're dealing with this low pressure system. This will be what gets our weekend going with that Saturday soaker. We talked about this would develop over Texas. Even some backside snow showers in the higher elevations for New Mexico.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, that future radar loop. You could see a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere. That's that energy that's going to be spawning that low pressure. But you can also see kind of the same scenario we're going to be dealing with as that system gets developing. Unusually cool 50s and 60s in Texas in early May. That is certainly quite a shocker. But speaking of Texas and the Southwest into Oklahoma, they have certainly had their share of severe weather so far, as have many parts of the middle part of the country. And while we've kind of avoided a lot of severe weather here across the Carolinas so far this spring season, other parts of the country that you may not think about for severe weather have absolutely been getting blasted. Chase with Jace has the latest on those numbers so far this year.
If you've been watching the news, been watching social media, you know over the past 4 to 5 days, we've had numerous tornadoes all across the Mid-South, Arkansas, Missouri, into Texas and Oklahoma. We are seeing those tornado counts slowly start to climb. Some areas not really seeing as many tornadoes, such as Texas, running just a little bit below average with only 9 tornadoes. And then notice Oklahoma is at 49. Also, take note of the legend on the side of your screen. Yes, we go to EF5. I didn't include it in the legend because there's no EF5s to report the high. So this is the highest rated tornado in each state thus far. So for example, that red on Oklahoma, they've had 49 tornadoes. One of those was an EF4. But look at these numbers across the Midwest. 95 in Illinois, 25 in Wisconsin, 14 in Michigan, and 15 in Indiana. And some of those rated as high as an EF3. Anywhere you don't see any colors or numbers punched in here, that is because there's no tornadoes to report in that area. One thing to note here across the Carolinas, South Carolina coming in with 5 tornadoes, with the highest rated being EF0. Same thing with our friends up in Virginia, 1 tornado rated EF0. Now, as we go throughout May, we're going to see places like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico. We're going to see those tornado numbers slowly start to creep up. We typically don't see as many tornadoes in North Dakota and South Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming until we start getting into maybe the first couple weeks of June. That's when they start getting in on the severe weather. But kind of turning tables to more good news, we're getting some showers and storms here on Saturday. Not concerned with the severe weather threat, but good news is that severe weather threat for the time being starting to drop. And that's because one reason, we're lacking large-scale systems. In May, in June, you get big troughs that dig way down into maybe Baja, Mexico, or Baja, California, and kind of move across the plains. And it takes them 2-3 days to do that. And those 2 or 3 days, we'll see severe weather each and every day. In April, those storm systems typically move a lot faster. They don't sit stationary or kind of creep. And that's one reason why we're going to see a little bit of a lower severe weather threat, at least through the remainder of April and probably into maybe the first week of May. Also, no moisture is returning to the plains. So we had that cold front move through Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, all the way to Arkansas and Tennessee. That is going to wipe out that moisture. You're going to need another system to move in or get an area of low pressure that is going to drag all that Gulf moisture back into the plains in the Mid-South to get a substantial severe weather threat. That typically occurs in May, because in May across the plains you don't get as many cold fronts, you get more dry lines, and that means you're going to have that moisture in place for days, maybe even weeks on end, if it can rebound. And then we have mid-level ridging east of the Rockies. So we were talking about troughs, we talk about ridges. Troughing typically leads to severe weather. Ridging, not so much. It leads to hot and dry weather, which is not favorable for severe weather, but it is favorable for the cleanup that's going on across Oklahoma, such as Enid, Oklahoma, Vance Air Force Base getting hit. So good news is, taking a look at the long-term guidance, at least through the remainder of April and into probably the first few days of May, we're not expecting any substantial severe weather threat.
Yeah, who would have thought Illinois leading the country?
Yeah.
Tornado count so far.
And some of those numbers too impressive. North Carolina, what was it, 9?
Yeah.
Pretty good start for them, and hopefully we'll look at our numbers to be minimal and the numbers out west to maybe.
Fingers crossed for that.
But we will see. That does it for our episode here of Whether or Not. Of course, the weekend forecast, soggy Saturday. We'll keep you updated on the First Alert Weather app for that, and then enjoy the cool Sunday.
Yeah, get out there and do those rain dances.